Good morning to everyone out there. This is the Gruber Power Services Power Hour. My name is Claude Dixon.
Last time I checked, my name is Elvis Venter.
Yes.
So good to be on.
Isn't that a great first name, Elvis? Doesn't it just match his shirt? Look at the shimmering shirt this guy is wearing right now.
That's a bright one.
Yeah, how did he pull this off? We were talking about Vegas gold. I guess his Vegas gold is not my Vegas gold. Okay. Look at this guy's shirt with a name like Elvis. He's the only one that could pull this off right here.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes. Awesome shirt. So Elvis, what's going on with our subscribers, TikTok, Instagram, and all that?
Man, I think we're jumping up on YouTube really hard. We got like 14,000 plus. Jesse, what's the updated tally?
14,463.
And a half. And then...
Wait. Jesse, are those real people? Jesse,
bots.
Jesse, are they real people?
I think so.
Okay. All right. I believe you.
I think Instagram, we're at 34. What are you guys seeing at Instagram?
Ooh.
Do it for the gram. I think we're like at 34,000. So, I mean, we're growing. We're working.
34,300.
All right. 34,300.
Yeah, when you said 34, I was about to say 34. There's some more zeros on there somewhere.
Not 34. Point.
Okay.
Round up. If it's 34, round up to 34,000.
Okay, man.
I mean, I appreciate it. I really love, look, 10,000, 5,000, 8,000, great. People that are jumping in and showing us their love, their support, interacting with us is what matters to me, is what really shows. If it's my grandma, my aunt, industry guy, that's real or not, whoever it is, if you guys are jumping on, we appreciate it. You know, that's what makes the show. I don't want to hear crickets. If I want to hear crickets, I'll go outside at night.
Exactly.
So I appreciate, the people that are jumping on, all the people that give us comments, and they make the show fun, because me and you, we're just some dudes.
We're boring as heck.
Yeah.
You and I are just as boring as heck.
Yeah. You know what? We can be and we can't be. But it's funny? I was just telling Ray, because he's like, hey, this might be difficult. And I said, wait, your difficult might not be someone else's difficult.
Exactly.
I told me and Claude had the same thing when we were reading through the trails for hiking and all this stuff. And this guy said the most death-defying, blah, blah, blah. And we did it. And we're like, that's it?
Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, is when someone says, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
The first thing I say to them is, well, your a lot might not be my a lot. Okay? There's a difference. It's relative. Everything is relative.
It is relative. And that's why your Vegas gold is different than my Vegas gold. So it's relative.
No pun intended, but he's taking the show on this one with that shirt.
Yeah, thank you.
So, all right. So we have some upcoming guests that are going to be appearing here over the month of February. So Friday, February 16th, we're going to have Chris Newman here. Chris Newman is the president of Mission Critical Services. They're a real key partner of ours. That's going to be phenomenal to have Chris here. He's going to be flying in from North Carolina. That's where he is, where he's based. He's going to come in for this and sit down with us and talk about the industry a little bit, and how we work together as partners. And we'll just go from there. It's going to be like an open conversation. And then on the 23rd, which is a couple weeks after that, February 23rd, we're going to have Grant back, and the reason why he's special to us is he was like one of the very first individuals that helped us get the podcast off the ground from a subscriber standpoint. He pretty much watches every podcast. He tries to, and he's learned a lot from it, and he's excited. He says we don't even need to send him anything anymore. He just looks forward to watching it and learning. So that's a good thing. So we'll have him on the 23rd of February.
Grant Mobile will be on. Is there another significant thing about that show, the 23rd of February?
Well, it's his birthday weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. And are you ready to communicate that now?
It's up to you or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to wait a couple weeks, but
we're getting there.
But since there's probably some curiosity now, that's going to be my last official show, February 23rd. I'm going to pull back a little bit and keep myself focused on, as Dion would say, you got to keep, focused on what the main thing is, and the main thing is the company that Pete's put me responsible for and running, and I got to keep, I owe that to my team, the players on my team. I got to give them 110% effort because that's what they've been giving me. So to be dilly-daddling with a podcast, I don't think that's where I should be. So, but I'm going to come back, and every quarter I might show up here and show up on the podcast, that type of thing. So, and we'll go from there. All right. Well, we got some questions already before we get started. Got one from Pete Gruber. What is the background picture? Okay, the background picture is in Luxor, Egypt. That is the Hatshepsut Temple in the Valley of the Queens. Hatshepsut, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is one of the two female pharaohs of Egypt. There were only two. And the other one, you want to guess who she was? She was the last reigning pharaoh in Egypt. Very, very popular. They're still trying to find her tomb as we speak. If they find her tomb, they will cut everything off in the world to announce this. Anybody want to guess?
Cleopatra?
Cleopatra. So there were two female pharaohs. The one that was in here in this beautiful temple, which I got a tour, I walked through the whole thing. It was magnificent. Valley of the Queens in Luxor, Egypt. So we got one from Christina French. She says hello. Got one from Dwayne Wilson. Thank you for your channel. I have learned a lot from you guys. I'm not sure who engine number 9 is in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, but extremely fun dudes. And then Chat with Churl, looking good, bro. I got to give Churl a shout out. That happens to be my sister, one of my 4 sisters. She's based up there in Washington, and it appears that she is looking on. How you doing, Sister Churl? And then Grant is on, as I said. Yes, I do. Love the podcast. Okay, so Elvis, we're going to open up with a video. Since our first topic is going to be about UPS fuses. And you can see I have an array of these fuses right here in the forefront on our desk here. You can see they're various sizes, but I always like to bring it home to the human being. When your fuse blows, okay, this is what it looks like. So Jesse, we're going to need to run this probably 3 times because it's only 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Just to make sure people get it. But let's do it. So we got a YouTube video right here. This is what it looks like and sounds like when your fuse blows. Listen very carefully.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by the you know the thing.
Oh my goodness. Play that thing over. This is what happens when
we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by the you know the thing.
One more time. Just for old time.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by the you know the thing.
Do you know the thing?
I don't know the thing. I don't know the thing.
He does, apparently.
I don't know. And you know what? Our younger generation probably does not know the thing. Okay?
Well, they're all created
exactly.
So
exactly.
let them be.
So that's what it kind of looks like when your fuse blows and you need to replace the dang thing. What's more incredible about that video, though, are the folks in the backdrop.
That's what I was looking at.
If you look at the folks in the backdrop, they just went along with it like it was okay and everything, and it wasn't okay. We all know it wasn't okay. So I just thought I'd add a little bit of humor.
It's like at the top of a cliff when the sheep follow the shepherd off the cliff.
Exactly.
Yeah, those people in the background are great.
Look at them. They're like,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, you know the thing. Sure. All
They
right.
look like they didn't know nothing.
Yeah. All right, let's get started here. So I have a question, Elvis. Since our topics are fuses and circuit breakers. I don't know if we're going to get to the circuit breakers, but we're going to start with fuses. So what's the difference between, well, there's visual differences, but what's the main difference between a circuit breaker and a fuse? Because they're both fail-safes.
Okay.
What do you think?
What's the difference between, well, circuit breaker is the main fail-safe where you shut it down completely. A fuse doesn't have, besides removing it, there's no fail-safe switch. So the breaker has a complete switch shutdown. Mm-hmm. It's like the last emergency power shutoff, I would say.
And you're right. And the other thing with the breaker is that the breaker can be reset. Hey, can you grab one of those since we're talking?
That's
just
true.
Just in the back there. Just grab one real quick.
Can I get the little one?
Yeah.
That
well,
big
not-
one's going to mess
well,
me up.
not the little one. Get that one right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and pull it. Just pull a string. Okay. So this is what we're talking about for those of you who don't know. This is a circuit breaker. And we're talking about right here that you can reset it. Okay. That's key. That's key because this part right here, from a service standpoint, doesn't need to be replaced in most cases, where if a fuse blows, one of these right here, can you put that picture back? Yeah, one of these right here, if it happens to blow,
It's done.
it's a replacement scenario, and now you got to get another fuse out there. You got to install the fuse. It's a whole different process. So that's the key difference. But they're both protection mechanisms from inrushes of current, faults, and things such as that.
So you
So-
set it and forget it.
Yeah. So
You're
that's that's good. I'm glad you knew that. That's awesome. That is the main operational difference between the two. Yeah. All right. So when you talk about a UPS, one of the things that's really, really cool, we have an operation out there that it's called a scrapping operation, where we get units in from the outside and we basically tear them down. So we get an opportunity to open up the box, the UPS box, and see the internal components. And when you open one of these up and you take the dead front off of it, it exposes all the components and parts, and you see an array of things in there. And there are a tremendous amount of fuses in a large three-phase system, a three-phase box. You'll see them. Many of them, every fuse that we have up here on the table was dissected from a UPS that we broke down. Pretty amazing, huh?
Correct.
All the variations and sizes. On this MEM4 right here, which Elvis sells, he sells this thing right here. And the MEM4 is a main intelligence module that goes into a modular UPS. Even on this circuit board, there are fuses. There happens to be two glass fuses that are right up here. You can't see them, but I have a small one just to give you an indication of how small this fuse is. This is a glass fuse that is in a holder on this particular circuit board. So my point is that they come in a variety of shapes and sizes, but there's 6 main categories of fuses in a UPS system. You have input fuses, which is the first one. Input fuses, output fuses, battery fuses, DC link fuses, bypass fuses, and control circuit fuses. Now, I got a question for you since you're a salesperson. Have you ever sold a fuse?
Many.
Many of them?
Many.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are on are on your display that I sell a lot of. And I can explain even where they go within the UPS. So yeah, I sell fuses a lot.
Yeah.
And I got a question for you. This MEM4, what modular unit does it go into?
The MEM4, this must be the old one. Is this the power array?
Nope. Let's see if anyone knows which APC. I'll give you guys the APC, Symmetra. So now we went away from the power array. It's a Symmetra.
Well, it's got to be the LX then.
PX. MEM5 is the LX.
Okay.
One number changes. MEM5 is for the APC Symmetra LX. MEM4 is for the APC Symmetra PX, 40 kVA and up box. MEM3, MEM2. There's MEM16 for the megawatt UPSs. So this is for the APC Symmetra PX line and up.
Yes. And to Elvis's point, if you could put in image 00, because I know it's kind of hard to see these up here. So we have an image of just a variety of fuses, different fuses that are used for different things, from the PCB board all the way up to the inverter and rectifier. So image 00.
Yeah, 1 sec. The internet is having a trouble here.
I know there's a lot of images we're going to show today, but see if we can get that one pulled up.
Okay, 00.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Hold. What is going on? All right.
Okay, there you go. So you can see there's a variety of odd shapes, to fuses. Most people think of the one to the far right there, kind of in the middle, the glass fuse. This one I'm like holding in my hand. These are the ones that we typically deal with from a residential standpoint. You know, you're replacing these type of fuses, but you can see a lot of these you can find on circuit boards. The smaller ones that look like little insert type things, they're on circuit boards, including this one that I have in my hand. So those are the different types of fuses. Going back to input fuses, there's a bunch of different types of input fuses. You have glass tube, which I showed you right here. One's right here on this board. You have cartridge fuses, which this right here is a cartridge. Actually, not that one. This one is what we call a cartridge fuse. That means that there's many of them in a cartridge. They lay down like this. You insert them in and they're side by side. Surface mount fuses, which you find on PCB boards. Okay, the surface mount fuses, ceramic fuses, and then surface mount devices. So there's like 6 different types of fuses that you use. And when you sell one Elvis, what are the specific things that you're trying to get, like from the customer, before you actually give them a quote?
Well,
like part number.
My first thing is I want a part number and a picture of the fuse you need. When they say, here's the UPS, go find it, that's too hard. There's too many types of different fuses and just giving me the name of a busman or Faraz. So I'm asking first, can you get me a picture of it with the part number? And if you can get me a picture, then it'll show the part number, it'll show the ampage and the voltage. The voltage and the ampage is very, very crucial. And the part number, because the part number will give you exactly which one that is and how many you need. Because some take 2, some take 1, some take 4, some go on an assembly. So it all depends on what UPS. But I'm always asking for part number. And that's really it, because the part number will give you the rest. And if I get an image with clear part number and clear display of the equipment, I am 100% in.
Right. You know, the other thing too, you know, Elvis is one of our key account managers here. You know, we were looking at this and, you know, you see a variety of fuses here. I mean, they range in price big time.
Yeah.
This fuse right here, which was pulled out of a
Megawatt.
Can you,
1,000 kVA UPS.
yes. Do you remember the component? I remember seeing what component was it? A power module? What was it pulled out of? Do you know?
This was pulled out of the UPS.
Yeah, so I knew a megawatt, but what component within? Do you remember?
This came from our customer. This was already pulled out off of the UPS.
Okay, all right. Well, if you look at this thing,
No, this is too big to be just in a power module.
This thing right here, you're not going to believe how much this costs. So when you talk about
Ask, don't
expense, I'm not going to say it. This thing. First of all,
Take a guess.
You can lift weights with this thing. It's very, very heavy.
Yes.
It's a humongous fuse. 600 VAC. I mean, it is like very, very large.
What's the ampage? It's got to be like 2,000, 3,000 amps.
This thing, it says 2,000.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good guess.
2,000. And this is what they call it, a trip that's attached to
Yes.
it. But yeah, let's get some guesses on how much do you think that
cost.
this costs?
You guys got to go through your way back. To
Oh, yeah.
these.
What's that?
We
On
have
these
a lot
questions,
of comments.
If you want to see the guesses,
We want to
gotta get
jump
through a lot
on.
of this.
So Lenny Hodges says Cleopatra
Okay.
for the second Pharaoh. Grant had the same answer. You guys are right. Chat with Cheryl says, who's taking your place on the podcast? see.
Right now, I believe that's going to be Pete Gruber.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Ooh. Breaking news.
And those of you who don't know who Pete Gruber is, this is Gruber Power Services. So that's the
Easiest way.
That's the president and CEO.
But he has many different names.
Yeah, he has many different hats.
Malcolm Washington.
AI.
AI.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
Highlander. That's the woman on X are all talking about right now. Mm-hmm. Oh, Cleopatra. I did a report on Cleopatra, your sister says. Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that. I love you, bro.
Yeah.
I love that family love. Chemistry says, whoa, what happened to matching? Unfortunately, my Vegas gold is different than his. I was wrong. He was right.
You guys have to understand. See, I can get away with this stuff now since I'm leaving the podcast. You guys have to understand something about Elvis. Okay, Elvis falls asleep at the switch sometimes. Okay, I sent him a text. We had this conversation before because we got it wrong before. Okay, he turns up in bright gold. I come in Vegas gold. But again, he has a shimmer, so I'm giving him a pass.
But you know me. Sometimes when I hear certain, I'm out. Even when we go on our drives to the hikes, when you put that music you put on like 2 days ago, I'm like this.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Sometimes I just clock out.
Yeah.
Cheryl says.
Cheryl.
Sorry.
Yes.
Cheryl. LOL. Stop it.
Dude, that was when you were showing the Biden video.
Oh,
Okay.
nice. She talks like him. Smart. She's making fun of him. Good. I like that. Pete Gruber, resettable versus replacement required.
Yes, Pete, right on the money. Bing, bing. He's talking now. What he's talking about there, we got to clarify. Pete's talking about what the difference is between a fuse and a circuit breaker.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the exactly.
Yeah.
Highlander, thank you, Vanna White, for the display. Me, I was using my skills when I was displaying it.
Hey, by the way, Highlander, thank you for the email. I mailed your profile, that dictionary encyclopedia, which was awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm not
Appreciate
downing it
it
in any way. It was awesome. You have some remarkable accomplishments in
You've
your
been through a
profile.
lot, bud.
And I sent it back to you yesterday, so you'll be seeing it soon.
Grant Mobile, why wouldn't it be prudent to just use a circuit breaker rather than a fuse? That's a great question. Do we want to hold that and answer after we go through these?
Yeah.
Because that's a great question we can answer. Phil McMillan, fuses are in catastrophic failure circuits. Breakers are expected to trip at times, overloads, etc. Great. That's very true. Lenny Hodges says UPS PX for the MIM4. He's right. Lenny Hodges says 100K has the 16. Thank you for clarifying that. Phil McMillan, we used to see you guys in a number of Liebert accounts. I was a manager there before Vertiv buyout. Sure. I appreciate you, Phil. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, go back to Phil real quick.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty vanilla. Doesn't that sound vanilla?
I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds like that could be.
I don't know.
We used to see you guys in a number of Liebert accounts. I was the manager there before the Vertiv buyout. That
I don't
sounds.
know. We used to see you in a number of Liebert accounts. So where are you from? APC? like China? From Jesse's neck of the woods.
And there it is.
Hey, that's a good.
There it is.
Hey, that's a good question coming up here too. What is the average lifespan of a breaker? I mean, breakers last the life of the unit.
Yes, they do.
I can't think of the only time we have had to switch out a breaker was because of what, Elvis?
Explosion.
When it was an undersized scenario,
Or if it explodes.
where there was, yeah. Well, I mean, but again, I've been here 15 years. I can't think of one scenario where we have actually changed out a major
Correct.
breaker due to a service issue. It's mainly been on the front end in the quoting process, okay, where you end up undersized and you have to go up. Okay, I've seen that happen on a few occasions, but not from a serviceability standpoint. So to answer your question, Larson, they pretty much last the life of the unit.
For an age of 30 to 40 years.
Yeah.
That's it. Jesse, do me a favor. Grant Mobel's question, that one with the breaker up. Can you bring that back down just so we can have it fresh? Yes. And then just copy paste it just so we can be fresh on that one. So Grant Mobile answered, he said for the big megawatt, 1,500. No, you're going to have to add a lot more than that.
Yeah, you're going to have to add a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But that's one guess. Let's see if we get a few more. Go back up to that question, though.
It's right there. He reposted it. Why
Okay.
wouldn't it be prudent to just use a circuit breaker rather than a fuse?
Okay. A circuit breaker, there's other reasons why you have a circuit breaker. The main reason is safety.
Yes.
Okay. You got to turn something off. You got to cut power. You can go to that circuit breaker and turn it off without being what? Shocked. You can't do that with a fuse. You can't just go inside of a unit while it's energized and remove and take a fuse out in an emergency situation. So that would be the biggest reason is safety emergency situations.
Correct. That's the main reason.
I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
So fuses that are in larger sizes, I'm not talking about like car fuses, but those fuses that are in larger sizes, why would you not want the ability to switch it back on? Meaning that if it pops, it just pops the switch and then you can switch it back on. Why would you want one that it's one and done?
Well, it depends on what the inrush current is. They don't all pop. You see this? I have this multimeter on my desk. So there's a way that you can test the fuse prior to replacement if there's a scenario where a fuse goes out, where the UPS goes in the bypass. So before the engineer actually pulls a fuse, they test it, okay? And then they reset. They just reset the unit and see if they can get it started up again. Okay, so not in every case when a fuse blows, it goes out, okay? It could still be good. That's the reason why they have their meter. It's called continuity. So they're checking, and I'm going to put Elvis through this exercise on how do you actually test a fuse. That's the reason why I brought this, and we're going to do one as a demonstration for people so they can see how we do it. Okay, we got one from Kim, Estrie, Jesse, China. Oh, she's jabbing you, Jesse.
Said I loves China.
China love. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I answer something else for the difference between the circuit breaker rather than a fuse?
Sure.
So a fuse protects your unit from overloading.
Overcurrent
And overloading.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a circuit breaker protects it against overloading and short circuits.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a short and if it pops, you can re-put it back in. Where a fuse can't do that, but a fuse still needs to do that, where a breaker can't do that other part because of the size of the breaker. It'd be nice if you had a little fuse with a switch on it, but that's they don't make those, and that's not there. So that's the reason one can do both, and one can only do one that needs to be inside of the UPS.
Yes, and let's stay on that. Let's stay on that for a minute, because that's a good segue in the fuse testing. So when you go on a site and we're troubleshooting a unit, and the unit like transfers in the bypass. Okay, the customer calls us, hey, my unit went in the bypass. One of the things in the troubleshooting process is that field engineer is definitely going to, he's going to check and see if there is a fuse that blew. So when he's going through that process, there's a visual inspection that he does first. It's not necessarily pulling out the voltmeter, because you actually can see whether or not a fuse is blown without actually testing it, just by looking at it. Not in all cases, because some of these, like this one here, you can't really tell unless there is some sort of like burn marks on it, where there was an arc event and it's discolored. But most of the time in a glass fuse, you'll be able to see this baby right here. You'll be able to see the filament is broken or it's fogged up, and that tells you right away that the fuse is bad. Okay, but another way to do it, if you can't distinguish it that way, is you can take the fuse out of the holder, all right, and put it on the desk. And I'm going to give Elvis our multimeter here that we use to test various things. So Elvis, here you go.
Okay.
And for those of you who can't see this, this is what it is. You have two probes, positive and a negative, and there's a dial on here that you turn to a mode. It's called the resistance mode. All right, that's what we're going to test for on the fuses, whether or not it has. We want it to have very, very low resistance or none. You don't want high resistance in a fuse. All right, and the range that we're looking for is 0 to 5. So Elvis, go ahead. He's putting the probe. You're putting the probe on each side of the fuse. You're going to have to, let's put it up here so they can see a little bit. Yeah. You guys can see that right there, and watch what he does with each one of those probes. And there's going to be a reading that shows up here, and he's going to have to, I'll put it on the, yeah, there you go. So we're 0.2. It looks like 0.1, 0.2. So we're like well within where we need to be, because the range is 0 to 5. So this fuse is good. It has low resistance.
See, if you put it on me, I might have a short fuse.
Yeah. Now, if it was 5 or more, that tells you that the fuse is open and it is bad. And the meter will read OL on the display here if it is bad. So let's do one more here.
OL or LOL?
LOL.
If it's really bad.
Yeah, so here's a larger fuse. Let's see what this one is.
let's get this one, this big puppy.
And hold it steady. So again, you got a 0.2. So that fuse is good.
Okay.
Let's do one more.
Let's test the big boy. The big Bertha. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that fuse is good.
Ooh.
Yeah, that fuse
If
is
anyone's
good.
in the market for a megawatt fuse, come on down.
Yeah.
We still haven't gotten any guesses. Jesse, Aaron, how expensive do you think this megawatt, this big boy?
Grant thought 1,500.
Yes,
Yeah,
way off.
That's way off.
Really?
way
Yeah.
under. No, this is
Wow, I was gonna say 2,000, but
Let's put it this way. You don't
1501.
want this to blow. Okay, you don't want this thing to go bad.
this thing costs more. I'm going to give them a hint more than some UPS units.
$100,000?
No, that's shooting it. If that's the case, I'd be selling only these and only those.
Yeah.
Pushing them. No. It's a tough one. Okay, so you know what? Grant was way off, but at the same time, if you added one more zero,
I was gonna say you're gonna add a zero or what?
Yep. 15,000
Yeah.
For that one fuse.
$15,000 for this fuse right
brand new.
here. Yeah.
So you're saying used about 8 to 9 if it's
Yeah.
still, because these last, and if it's in good, it won't break down because of itself. And that's what Pete makes a great statement here. Fuses may never give out during the life of the unit. It'll only give out because of catastrophic failure within the UPS.
And actually the fuse will give out. It's designed to give out. And here's why. In some fuses, there is a chemical, a mineral, well, it's a chemical named boric acid. Okay. That is inside of the fuse. And
30 to 40 years.
But no. This is to the point of a catastrophic event or something goes on where the fuse has to for protection reasons. And what it does, there's an arc flash that occurs, and that chemical masks or puts out or emasculates the arc flash. Okay? That's what it's designed to do. Okay?
But
in
in the sense of like just a failure on its own, but it still goes to the point of the something around it has to happen for it to fail. So these things really, serve a great purpose.
Yeah. Hey, just before you get to the questions, since we were on price, so this big boy right here is $15,000. Elvis can get you this thing for $9,000. Okay. Now, just to give you a range, because we have a bunch of fuses here. So this one right here is $22.
Yep.
Okay. You're talking $22 with this fuse right here. This one right here, $3,000.
I was just going to say 3Gs.
Okay, so you can see that there is a variation of range anywhere from, you can get a fuse for what, $5, those little glass ones, maybe even less than that, all the way up to, who knows, $15,000. And here's the thing.
This is about $500-600.
That megawatt unit, I didn't see this unit, but I can guarantee you this. There's more than one of these in that megawatt unit.
Exactly.
Okay, there's more than one. So you think about the investment that goes into these purchases, and just from a repair and maintenance standpoint, how much it could be, especially on a full service maintenance contract. But again, this is a part that we typically don't replace a lot of.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think we missed the question where someone asked how
I'll
many
make sure
times.
to put those all away. You don't have to worry about that. I'll take care of those fuses.
Yeah, right. Appreciate it. I think someone asked how many times a week do we do the show? We do on Fridays. So our show's on Fridays, and Jesse's going to help me here. Mondays is Gruber Communications.
Yep.
Tuesdays is Motors and Tesla back to back.
Yeah, the Roadster podcast and then the regular EV podcast. Yep.
Yes, is Tuesdays. And then Thursdays is
Wednesdays is the AI.
Wednesdays is
and
the
they all
AI.
start at 10 a.m.
Okay, so it's all 10 a.m. start time. And we have within 5 shows a week that we run here.
And let me tell you something. Back on the GPS podcast. Back on that one. We do this thing for an hour. Okay, an hour every Friday. So give us some feedback. Would you rather see it for an hour? Would you rather see it for 45 minutes? Would you rather see it for 30 minutes? Because it's all about engagement. It's all about whether or not you're watching.
Agreed.
So if you don't drink coffee and you watch for 10 minutes and the next thing you know it's over and you're asleep on the couch when you wake up, you figured out it's over, then that must have been a boring podcast. So what we're trying to get here is we're trying to get people to watch the podcast when it happens. And then B, if they're watching it, we're trying to do things that keep people engaged. Okay, and interacting with you guys is part of it. Like Elvis and I, we really like to interact with the audience and make you guys feel a part of it. Like, for example, Phil McMillan up here, when a fuse blows, it usually means something upstream or downstream needs to be fixed or resolved. 100% correct.
Correct.
That's you go ahead and take a stab at that one.
Mauro Bargazzi.
Yes, I would never get there.
Barzaghi. Good evening. Is it true that the fuse reduces the short circuit current in an event of a fault? Yes.
I would say yes on that one.
Phil McMillan. If that big 1,000 amp fuse is blown 2,000 amp, but you were close, there will be some damage elsewhere. Agreed.
Yeah, I would say there would be collateral damage somewhere.
Yeah. And Grant, now this is my favorite. He'll take 3 of these. I'll give you the friend discount all day, Grant. Let's go.
I'll take 3 of those.
All day. That's my favorite type of subscriber.
Yeah. He's got the greatest one-liners.
All right, this is a great question by Twin Mom. What are the safety protocols for handling fuses and circuit breakers within the UPS? That's a great question.
Okay. Well, let's talk fuses first. Well, deenergization. Okay, before, typically when a field engineer goes onto a site, the UPS has been energized. Okay, it's connected to power. So the first thing, unfortunately, you have to do is de-energize the unit in order to change the UPS and wear proper PPE. We haven't talked a lot about that, especially on the return. And what I mean by the return is the restart of the UPS, because you don't know what could happen when you restart a UPS. So it's absolutely important that field engineer is equipped with the proper PPE, meaning helmet, shield, arc flash suit that he wears, 40 cal at a minimum, in case there is an event that occurs. Okay, his clothing is flame resistant. That's what that means. So that would be number 1. We've got.
What do you mean by de-energize?
Turn it. Basically shut the UPS down.
Thank you.
And it's not overnight. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not like a quick shutdown, because there's components, i.e. the capacitors, that still carry energy even
Correct.
when you, I'll just do it in layman's terms, even when you turn off the UPS, there's still energy that is alive and percolating within it. So you need to give it at least 1 to 2 hours of just shutdown before you go in and do any work inside of it.
It's like when you're driving your car for an hour and then you park it and you pop the hood, you just don't touch it because it's hot. Things are still cooling off.
That's
the battery, the belt, there's the liquids that are still boiling.
You're right.
So you want to give it time to settle and kind of like calibrate. So to answer your question, the protocols is first you want to do a safe, complete shutdown of the UPS. And then you need to have the gloves, the eyewear, the helmet.
Or you're going to do a visual. You're
Yes.
going to do a visual after you, like you said, you shut it down, because you got to take the dead front off. You got to remember, one of the safety features on a UPS, on a conventional UPS, is there's a dead front.
Yeah.
And that is on there so people don't reach in and touch things that may still be energized. So that whole thing has to be taken off. And typically you're talking about 24 screws just to get the dead front off. That shows you the internal components of the UPS. And then to Elvis's point, that's a perfect analogy with the car. You got to let the car cool down before you can work on the engine.
The dead front is a large metal plate.
Yes.
And it has information, it has tags, it has warnings. It has a number of things that people just overlook. So that's a large metal plate.
It's like a screen.
Yeah,
kinda.
a big metal screen that has like 2 sides and even opens like a door or comes off. And that protects you. It's a shield. So that's that's the best way to approach that for the fuses and the breakers. Himanshu Gajera, please explain different types of fuse.
Okay, we'll start with the input fuse.
Okay, that's what we're getting at.
The input fuse. Okay, input means source power. So this is a fuse that is inserted inside of a UPS to protect from overcurrent from the source, the utility. That's how come it's called an input fuse. Then you have another fuse inside of the UPS that's called an output fuse. And this is the output excuse me, as the power goes from the inverter, from the rectifier back to the inverter. It's rectifying output from the inverter and it's being converted back into AC. Okay, that is an output fuse, so you have a connection there. You also have a battery fuse. You see those inside of the modules. There's like you open up a
IBAT 5.
Yeah, SIBAT 5, you'll see a little, in fact, it's a really small ceramic fuse.
There's a small little
Like
circuit
this,
board,
kind of like that.
and then on the circuit board is the fuse. And that's the ticket for us. That's really good.
Yeah. Okay, we got another one here from from Highlander. Kindness is always free, but the great service you guys provide costs, and it's worth every penny.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Kiki Chef, can you share a picture of an FE in the safety gear? Darn it. I was like looking at 2 pictures I sent to an account manager that asked me. I do not have a picture. And you know what, Jesse? Can you pull up a picture? Just type in field engineer and arc flash gear.
Okay, yep, 1 sec.
Yeah, we'll get that for you, Kiki.
Sounds like a good topic for the future. Maybe doing a safety
For PPE.
episode.
Yeah.
I'll get something there. Good call.
Yeah. So FE in arc flash gear, and you'll see what this looks like. And then Highlander, I would like to see that, Kiki. Okay, that's cool. Well, we're going to pull that up.
Okay, so I'm going to pull this up, and you're going to have to tell me which one you think is a good representation.
Yeah, can you see?
No, that's my stuff.
Okay.
I'll see if I could find. He's gonna pull it up and we'll look at it. That's what I found.
Yeah, I mean, anyone, that's a good one right there. I mean,
Yeah.
any one of them really. There's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's it right there.
Yeah,
Okay, so you see the arc flash suit? That's the blue suit he's wearing, and there's a cow. Our guys wear 40. You see the safety gloves there? You see the glove on top of his hand, but really the safety portion of it is what is inside of the glove. There is a rubber. glove that the FE is wearing inside of the other glove that you see for protection purposes. The other thing, too, is that those gloves get damaged. They wear out. And every year we purchase new ones. That's by law, by OSHA standards. You're supposed to replace those gloves every single year. You also saw a hard hat. A hard hat, he's got a shield over his face. The shield is tinted because see the tint on the shield there? When an event occurs, God forbid that it doesn't, because when an arc flash occurs, it's serious. That's for obviously face protection, but also the eyes. You can lose your vision without proper eye protection in the event of an arc flash. You can just lose your eyesight for life. So that's the reason. There's another thing underneath his FR rated clothing. It's called a balaclava. That balaclava goes over the head and over the neck. So he's like totally protected from an event, a flash event, which is, let me explain that real quick. Not only is it light that the person sees, intense light, it's particles. Okay, that have dislodged from the UPS. These things will just burn your skin to pieces. He's protected from that and also heat. Now, one question I got, is this a fail-safe? Will this save the person? The answer is no. It depends on the severity of the event, but you can't I can't guarantee anything that it will do, but we try to do everything we can to reduce the probability of someone losing their life. But again, what I've seen in the industry is the equipment is provided, but you have the gunslingers out there that choose not to wear their equipment in scenarios where they should. And of course, no one's out there with them. They're basically on their own. The customer's not standing there watching them because they have their own job to do. So it's really up to that person, assuming that they've been provided the proper PPE, that they wear it. That was a great question, and I think we're going to take you up on that, Aaron. I think we'll do a whole show just on personal protective equipment.
We're getting a lot of questions on just because, it's important for the arc flash. I mean, look, I've been part of 2 instances in my experience. One was I was building batteries, and 2 batteries touched, and that gave a flash and exploded. But luckily I had my glasses and my gloves on, but it wasn't anything severe or crazy. And there were 2 batteries that, check it out, they weren't brand new. They were older ones that they're still live,
You just
but towards
touched
the
them. You
end.
touched them
And
together?
when they came, the two little hooks from the little 9 amps just touched, boom, boom, and had a flash. And then I was there in the building, and I was there when the depot, the UPS did blow up. And the guy it got his hand a little bit like his arm, but he had the shirt, he had the gloves and everything, but he had to go get checked
And let me
out.
define what Elvis means by blow up. Because again, that's a relative term. When you hear about something blowing up, it's like it blows
The battery modules.
That's not what we're talking about. A lot of these events are self-contained.
Yes.
But there is self-contained by design.
Correct.
Okay, where if it does blow, it blows internally. Okay,
ain't no movie.
Right. But there's still collateral things that come out of the UPS as a result of that. But yeah, man, that's the incident I had. It wasn't necessarily that, but it gets to Larson's point up here. He goes, is there an official way to de-energize a UPS or just wait? Yes, there is a procedure. Okay, to answer your question on that. I've heard stories of power supplies still having power years later with no power connected to it. Got the story for you. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I was in the depot. Okay? The unit had been disconnected. The skins, which are the side panels, were off of this unit. It was a 3-phase unit. All of the components were exposed inside of the unit. You could see them with your eyes. So what do? It's not connected. What do? I take my hand and I touch the capacitor assembly and got zinged. Okay? Big time learning experience for me. But the question that I asked the technician that was in the depot, I go, how long was this unit disconnected? He told me the unit had been disconnected 5 hours. So getting back to, is there an official way to de-energize? Yes, there is. And it's a time period that you wait before you go in and do things. And there's a meter that we provide to our field engineers where they can actually test to see if there's any energy in the machine before they touch it. So we provide them with that as a fail-safe as well. Here's another one. This would be cool for people to get on and watch. From Pete Gruber, we are working on an arc flash video, which will be live in a couple weeks. That one's going to be on YouTube, I'm assuming. So if you want to see what an actual arc flash, really looks like and what you do from a safety precaution standpoint to address it, watch that video. So hopefully we'll see that link soon. Hopefully Pete can have that, like the link next week when we do the show, and we can give it to people.
Get it ready, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Elvis, you still with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm reading Highlanders. Are these front panel safeties interlocked? Yes, they are. Well, it depends. Depends the UPS. I've had where I have to take off panels and they aren't interlocked and one goes on top of each other and then there's the screws. And then there's the ones that are like retrofit in and they're side by side. So you only need to take one off and you can leave. So some UPS front panels have the safety interlocked and some don't. Mm-hmm. But they both, I've always come across for the component UPSs, I've come across all of them to have the safety guard. For LXs and PXs in the front, where the UPS is, there's just the door, the gate, and then for the LX, it's the panel.
Yeah.
In the back, they have per the electrical stuff.
Yeah, like in the bypass panels, because those are panels on a wall. You open up there should be an interlock.
Correct.
But back to your point on the screen, when you're looking at those types of fuses inside of the UPS itself, they're not going to be, they're exposed. That's the reason why the screen is there.
Exactly. So that's the great point you just made. Yeah. For component, there are a lot of loose parts in the box, so that's why they have those safety guards. For a modular, it's a battery module or is inside a case. Power modules, it's inside a case. Intelligence modules is inside the case. All the boards are in the back end, and then there's a back panel for it. So depending the modular or the component, there's a different structure because of the type of parts that live within it.
Right.
So the safety guards are more for the component UPS. Okay, now Macy, is there an ideal range you'd like to keep the fuses in?
Yes.
Is there a number that's too high or too low?
Well, here's the thing with that. There is a range for what we typically see in our industry, and that's 250 to 600. Like every few volts, every fuse I have up here is basically within that range. That's what we typically see. But some of it depends on what the application is too, and what it is you're building. Is it industrial? Is it an office somewhere? Obviously, the fuse sizes are going to be a little bit different, but the typical range is 250 to 600. Okay, Twin Mom 1492, a day in the life of a field engineer.
Vlog or POV? Can I ask something, Jesse? Is there like an email where these great ideas can be sent to and they're all in one, and then that's something to look at to try to cater? That's a fantastic idea. What she's saying is, can we make a video for the day in the life of a field engineer in the UPS of what it looks like when they get on a call, when they have to go to a customer, or a POV, which is a point of view? Can we have those type of libraries and videos, which I know we're working on it, but if there's an email, Jesse, that they could send these ideas to where Pete Gruber also said they're working on something, and then to cater to these requests.
Yeah, you can send anything to social@gruber.com.
Social?
Yep.
Yeah.
At gruber.com.
Yeah. And that question right there is an amazing question, because we're just talking about the technical aspects of what a field engineer might be doing. Mm-hmm. But you know what? That's a big piece of it, a very important piece of it. That's what the customer wants to see. But there are a tremendous amount of things that the field engineer is doing outside of that 1 to 2 hours that they're on site. Okay, like getting to the job site, preparing for the job, the whole scheduling part of it, traffic flow. I mean, there's a lot of different things that they deal with. And I commend our field engineers because they deal with a lot. There's a lot of stress associated with the job, that kind of thing. So hats off to them, but that is a great idea.
Yeah.
Daryl Bogan
says, I just looked at some of your videos. Great stuff. I appreciate you, bud. Thank you check out our videos, check out our shorts for Gruber Power Services, for Gruber Motor. We have shorts that we're dropping daily. So please go check those out. Kiki Chef says, thank you. Looks pretty safe. I didn't know they had to wear all that. Depending the UPS and the customer, some require a lot more. Some require the industry standard PPE. And it is a lot. I've had one of my friends that I know, he's a field engineer, and he said he was like sweating like crazy in some of those suits because, yeah, it's required, but hey, safety first.
And that's the reason why many of them are opposed to wearing them, is because of
just
exactly that.
Discomfort.
Especially the glove thing, because the gloves are so big and it discombobulates them when they're trying to get, the cables off the terminals and having to use their tools. These are just reasons. I don't even call them excuses. They're just reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. But safety first, right? Your life is more important than
all
that.
day.
Yeah. So we got another one by Humashu Gagera. Please explain static switch UPS transover process, zero crossover. Okay. We're going to get to that. We're actually going to tear apart the static switch in a future podcast. Probably next week, we'll probably be able to get to that. We were just going to spend some time just talking about the static switch altogether.
And then we skipped Srikanth Pusapati.
Okay.
That's one of one of the subscribers says, does all these fuses, are they all CRC? Are they all cyclic redundancy check?
I don't know. I'll have to research that one.
I cannot confirm that 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll research that one.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil McMillan, I'm no longer, he's getting back to you on this one, Elvis. I'm no longer with Liebert, but I can tell you this type of information exchange from the industry is not available, and I welcome the change. Keep up the good work. Now, I hope this...
Why? He's not with Liebert. Well,
I hope
who are you with?
No, I hope he's not with AI.
Oh,
okay,
man.
Because this one
keeps evolving.
Please tell me if you're real or not. I hope you're not with AI, because that one kind of sounds vanilla too. Yeah. I am no longer with Liebert, but I can tell you this type of information exchange from the industry is not available, and a welcome change. Keep up the good work. And then Highlander, I totally agree with Phil. These guys are probably sitting. They're probably sitting in the same house, kicking back, drinking a beer right now, doing this right now.
AI beer.
What do you guys think?
I totally agree, Phil. The more information out there, the better. We got to stay safe. Tired of working with these cowboys.
Okay, now I believe you. Now I believe you.
That's why I'm an independent contractor.
Highlander, now I believe you.
You're
since
for real.
Highlander, I believe you now since you used the word cowboy. To your point, I have seen a lot of cowboys. Okay, over my little 15 years, I've experienced it. I know what you're talking about, and there's no place for that in our industry.
Claude, I was right. It's 10:54.
Yeah.
And look where we've only gotten across because of how, pun intended, hot the fuse topic is.
Yeah. That's a good one, dude.
Terrible.
I get
Oh my
myself.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's right though. He's right though, because what we're finding is that we're getting so many questions now. We'll do 2 topics. We said we were going to do
got you,
fuses
buddy.
and circuit breakers.
I got you,
And of course,
Aaron.
there's no way we can get to the circuit breakers because it's 5 minutes till. And here's the thing. We're never going to conclude a podcast without did you knows.
Aaron wants to say something.
Go
Sorry.
ahead, Aaron.
I refuse to laugh at your jokes.
They're so good. They're so good.
Now we're going to completely get off of power.
Okay.
But I've got a did you know? I mean, this one was really awesome for me just to learn about. Okay, gonna have to put on your history cap here though. Continent of Africa, we're back on again. So, what 2 African nations were never colonized by the Europeans during the transatlantic slave trade? I will repeat that again. What 2 African nations were never colonized by Europeans during the transatlantic slave trade?
Ooh, that's a tough one, dude. And I
There's
didn't-
2. And I thought all of Africa was colonized. Turns out it wasn't. But only 2 nations were able to withstand all of that and keep their independence through the entire thing.
Are they known, those 2?
Oh yeah, they're existing countries. Yeah, they're known.
But are they popular?
I'll give you a hint because I know so one of the nations is in East Africa and the other nation is in West Africa. And if you want me to dial it down a little bit more, both nations are right around the equator. Those are the only hints I'm going to give you.
Can we throw out suggestions?
Sure.
Please.
Somalia?
That's very, very close. Very close. Very close to the eastern country or eastern nation.
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia is
I was
one.
thinking that.
Ethiopia. That's amazing to me. That they still have everything is intact pretty much still in that country, in that nation. It was never colonized.
Ghana?
You're a little south. A little too far south.
Tanzania?
Way too far south and interior. So you're on the west
I'm
coast.
from Chicago, South Side. What else
Yeah.
am I supposed to do?
So this nation is along the west coast of Africa near the equator.
Let's go. And I don't know how that.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you another hint. It is very, very tiny.
Liberia.
Very tiny. Huh?
Liberia.
That's correct. Liberia.
2 for 2, Jesse.
No, Aaron got the first one, right?
Oh, okay. I'll give it to Jesse.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to Jesse.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm his friend, so does that count?
that's pretty unique. And just before Elvis does his, did you know, I'm trying to get my wife to do her magic with her points and get us a trip to Ethiopia. I really want to see it now, especially since I found out that fact. I want to go to East Africa now because Ethiopia sits right on the Horn of Africa, East Africa. Go ahead, Elvis. What do you have?
Grant says Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Right? Awesome podcast gang from Highlander. Grant, his second one was Nigeria. Highlander, that was such a bad joke from the video team. Bad video team, lots of laughs. I love it.
See, this person, who is Sikranth Pusata?
He's one of the people on Instagram.
Okay.
That's awesome. He guessed them both right. Ethiopia and Liberia. That's
Chemistry
awesome.
was right. She said China. different question, but that answer goes somewhere right. You answered it for a different
She said
question.
China.
You're good. You're hanging out with Jesse too much.
That's almost as bad as the person the week before last when I asked the question, what was the longest bridge in the world? What did this person say? I think it was the AI guy.
London.
He said the London Bridge. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
London Bridge is falling down.
I mean, this AI guy, I think you got a diode that's out.
You can't. Yeah, his fuses are a little bit wonky. All right, so we're going to do just one quick did you know, since we're literally a minute at 11. Top 10. So let's name 9, or let's name, if you can name some of the fuse brands. Fuses. Let's name
Do that
them.
again.
Fuses. Fuse is the
Fuses.
fuse.
Fuse.
A fuse. How do you say fuses plural? Fuses?
Yeah, fuses.
That sounds
Fuses.
weird.
Fuzzes.
Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. So fuse. Why don't you guys see if you know some of the fuse brands that are very common, popular? We have a good amount of them here. If you guys can guess any, try not to go to Google. I know 3 of them, to be honest. Actually, I know 4. No Busman.
No, don't tell them.
Well, that's the common one.
Let them guess first.
We'll give you one. Okay.
So
But
he
let's
gave
see
you
if
one.
you guys can.
He
Yeah,
gave you one.
Busman is the most popular that I know of. What are you thinking, Aaron?
Anchor?
No. No, that's an anchor. No. No
Just
fuses.
know AutoZone. Is that a brand?
No.
That's where I get my fuses.
Jesse, stop.
I bet you they're all made in China. You said AutoZone. I mean, yes, but that's not a brand. That's a store. Chemistry says Eaton. Boom, boom, boom. So Eaton makes 2 of them. They make Busman by Eaton, and then there's Busman, and then there's Eaton, which is Heinemann, which is the German brand, which is Heinemann.
Heinemann.
Heinemann. Look at you.
Heinemann?
Yeah. See,
Okay.
you've been getting a lot more diversified in
I
your
better
life.
get
You're
that right.
good.
My wife's German.
Yeah.
I better get it right.
So Eaton, Busman, 100%. Grant Mobile says automotive.
Of course.
Nope. I'm just proud he can remember with his memory.
Now, here's the
memory
one.
retention.
Here's the one I really, really like. This is the brand I really like. I love this name. I just hope I don't botch it up. It's such a cool name. I would buy these fuses just because of the name. Okay, and that is Faraz. Did I say it right?
It's
Faraz.
No,
it's not right.
Feraz Shamut.
Oh, I missed half of it.
Yeah, you missed the last name.
Okay, and Faraz Shamut is what? What ethnicity is that?
I don't know. That I can
Is that
find out right
Is that
now.
Italian?
No, that sounds no way.
I think it's Italian.
No way. No way. Let me find out right now.
Faraz Shamut. That sounds Middle Eastern. Shamut sounds Middle Eastern. Was I right?
Well, Jesse won.
What was it?
China. They said it's manufactured in China. The origin of it. And it changed its name to Mersen. So now they're still making Faraz Shamut, but it's by Mersen. But that's what I was
That does
asking.
not
Faraz
sound
Shamut.
Chinese
No,
to
but
me.
it's founded in Kushan, Jiangsu, China.
Okay, I'm going to research this when I
Go
get out of
figure.
here. Faraz, that doesn't sound right. Anyway.
No, that's what I'm trying to see.
Oh, here's another one too. I'll give you a hint. I'll give you the last 2 words. You can guess the first 2. On the prairie. On the prairie. What were the first 2 words in that statement? On the prairie. Anybody old school? It's a fuse brand. Little house.
Little fuse.
Little fuse on the prairie.
Little fuse. Little fuse.
So little fuse. We have Faraz.
Correct.
Shamut.
It's
and-
Faraz Gold Shamut.
Okay.
That's what I know it as.
And then little fuse, and you said Busman. So that's
Busman.
3.
Yep. Mersen, which is the
Mersen.
new version of Faraz. Chemistry, hard to get though. Grant Mobile says Middle East. Highlander, you don't have enough time on any podcast for me to start listening to fuse brands, right? Little Juice, Jouse. Grant Mobile, close. Little House on the prairie, but it's called Little Fuse.
Little fuse.
And then ABB,
Yeah, ABB. That's definitely one.
and then Mersen. And then there's one that you guys are all familiar with, but you wouldn't know that they make fuses. Panduit. Panduit's a known brand. They make it. Then there's also Carling Technologies. And the last one is ETA.
ETA, estimated time of arrival.
Nope. It's ETA.
Okay.
Not ET phone home, not estimated time of arrival, but ETA.
Okay.
All the way. So those are the main, like, very popular common fuse brands. And then Jesse's, I guess, is 10, the automotive place.
No, AutoZone. So,
AutoZone.
So if you want a real good deal,
Yeah.
according to Jesse, you go shop at AutoZone, for
AutoZone, or
fuses.
what's the other one?
Or your car
Check it.
fuses.
Pep
O'Reilly's.
Boys. Pep Boys.
O'Reilly's.
All right. Well, wrap it up for us, Elvis.
Well, okay. So we had a great one today. The interaction was fantastic. I love it. I know it was really busy because I heard Jesse on the side just typing so hard. I thought you were like writing a book report because you were just boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
boom,
there's a lot
boom.
going on.
So I love it.
Jesse doesn't know what a book report is. Jesse's like 25. How's he going to know what a book report
take
is,
it.
dude? That's from my generation.
And mine. I mean,
I dictate everything to AI.
there we go.
Exactly.
Yep.
A
Well,
book report.
again, please jump on all of our channels, on all of our platforms. We're at YouTube, we're at Instagram, we're at Twitter X, we're at TikTok. And for Gruber Power Services, like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment. Same thing for Gruber Power Services, for Gruber Motor Companies, and for Gruber Communications. Please jump on. Show your appreciation, show your interaction. Whatever questions you have, please feel free to reach out. The email for any ideas you guys have or certain things you guys would like to see on a show is at social@gruber.com.
Gruber.com.
So social@gruber.com. Please go ahead and throw that. And they'll relay that information to us, and we'll work on some more nice custom
Yeah,
shows.
like PPE. That's
The
like
PPE
a
is
great one. That's a
one.
great one.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Some
to
of them
that.
look like aliens how they're dressed
Yeah.
too, and they're
There's
dressed
just
like astronauts.
There's just a lot to that because a lot of it's
course.
dependent on scope of work and that type of thing.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. We will see you next week.
Thank you guys.